All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into a manuscript for a brand new fantasy epic called Prince Vusi, Return of the Assegai. Now this story, it asks a really cool question. What happens when this ancient royal destiny suddenly awakens inside a teenage thief on the streets of modern-day Johannesburg? So yeah, let's get right into it.
So, we start right in the heart of modern Johannesburg. And our hero, Vusi, he's not in some grand castle or off on a noble quest. Nope. He's just a troubled teen trying to justify a pretty small crime. But this one little thought, it perfectly captures where his head is at right before his entire world gets flipped upside down.
So, Section 1, A Prince in Johannesburg. The whole idea here is that a thief's magic is about to reveal a massive royal secret. I mean, the story kicks off on the street, right? But the simple act of pickpocketing, it's about to trigger a prophecy that's been sleeping for centuries. This is way more than just a kid getting into trouble. It's about a power he has no idea how to control finally bursting out.
Okay, so let's really break down this exact moment. Vusi, he targets a tourist in Nelson Mandela Square. But check this out. The wallet just lifts, totally weightless, right into his hand. I mean, this is not some simple sleight of hand, right? This is raw, untamed magic. And here's the kicker. A sangoma, a traditional mystic who's just selling beadwork nearby, she sees it all. And she doesn't just see a thief. She sees this ghost of a crown wrought from lightning and dust right around his head. So what looks like a simple crime is actually his royal power, just screaming to get out. So here's the whole deal, right? Vusi is living these two completely separate lives, even though he only knows about one of them. On one side, you've got Vusi the teen thief, this troubled kid in modern Joburg whose uncontrolled magic just keeps getting him into trouble. But then there's Vusimuzi the last Jinn prince. He's the lost heir to this incredibly powerful shape-shifting dynasty, and he's being hunted by an ancient evil because of a bloodline he knows nothing about.
All right, next up, the Breathing Mountain Academy. This is a school that was literally built to be a sanctuary. So faced with this power that's just spiraling out of control, Vusi's family sends him away. But you gotta understand, this isn't some kind of punishment. It's a last-ditch effort to get him to a hidden sanctuary, a place that was made for the sole purpose of finding and protecting him. So this place is called the Thaba Noga Academy. And get this, it was founded by his very own great-aunt Edith. But its main purpose? It was a secret. Its whole reason for existing was to find and protect the lost heir of the Jinn Shiftaari. So yeah, this is not just some school for magic. It's basically a fortress, like a waiting room for a king, all designed by his own family to keep him safe until the time was right.
And of course, his great-aunt put together this incredible team to mentor him. You've got Kosi Masego, the headmaster, who's basically the keeper of all the secrets. He knew who Vusi was the whole time. Then there's Lesabo, the trainer, super stern, but he's also Vusi's link to his Jinn heritage. And finally, you have Namvula, the oracle. She's the cryptic guide, the one who speaks in riddles. It's quite the crew.
Okay, on to our next section, allies, kin, and enemies. We're talking about a world full of different factions, and one really ancient foe. See, at the academy, Vusi doesn't just find teachers. He starts to piece together this incredibly complex world he was born into. He finds his people, his allies, and he finally learns about the true nature of the evil that's been hunting his family for centuries. This is where he builds his new family, his core crew. First up, there's Zola. She's from the Cursed Kin, which means she's immune to psychic attacks and can actually see the enemy when no one else can. Then you have Kaelo from the Naledi Kin. He's an Earth Warden with just immense strength. And rounding out the team is Lindiwe, a human sorcerer and scholar, and she just happens to be the headmaster's granddaughter. Together, these guys are his greatest strength for sure.
And you're going to need a strong team, because standing against them is this ancient, terrifying enemy, the Gwaapu. Now, these aren't just some random monsters. They are the ancestral, soul-stealing enemies of the Jinn dynasty. Think of them as parasitic beings who beat Vusi's ancestors by literally siphoning their power away. And now they're hunting him to make absolutely sure that their greatest threat never, ever returns.
So now we get to the quest for the Assegai. This is a weapon of legend and a symbol of a throne. With the world set up, the allies ready, and the enemy lurking, the whole story starts to focus on one single legendary quest. Vusi has to find this weapon that's been lost for ages. It's not just his birthright, it might just be the world's last hope. Which, of course, brings us to the central question of this whole book. What is the Assegai exactly? Well, it is so much more than just a spear. Let's look at its threefold power. First, it's a royal symbol.
We're talking about the lost throne of the Jinn. Second, it's a legendary weapon, one that was forged from starlight and shadow. And third, and maybe most importantly, it's a prophetic key. It is the only weapon that can truly, permanently destroy the Gwaapu.
And this is where it gets really personal. Vusi finds his great-aunt Edith's journal, and he reads this quote, "But they could not destroy the Assegai. It sleeps, waiting for the blood of my brother's line to call it home. It waits for you, Vusimuzi." I mean, wow. This isn't just some old legend anymore. It's his destiny. The weapon is literally waiting for him to call it home. Okay, so let's wrap this up by talking about forging a new African myth and why this story really matters. What does all this add up to, right? Beyond all the magic and the big quest, what makes this new fantasy universe so compelling?
Well, it comes down to the author's mission. Zahid Kola has said he wants to explore themes of destiny, heritage, and the weight of a crown in a modern African context. He isn't just trying to write another fantasy story. He's aiming to create something new, a world that is deeply, authentically rooted in Southern African mythology. He's reinventing that classic Lost Prince story for a whole new generation.
So we've really just scratched the surface here, but it leaves us with this huge, ultimate question that drives the whole saga. Can a lost prince reclaim not just a weapon, but the soul of a continent? Because at the end of the day, this is way more than just a quest to find a spear and beat the bad guys. It's about whether this kid, a prince forged on the streets, can reclaim not just a forgotten throne, but something so much bigger.